You're listening to Puma Podcast.
Hi, I'm Nina Toralba, Puma Podcast. You're listening to Teka Teka News. This is part 2 of our year-end special, bringing you some more sounds and stories of 2023. In July, President Bongbong Marcos announced the end of the COVID-19 health emergency in the Philippines. It came more than 3 years since the first lockdowns in March 2020. But even this year, we saw both drops and spikes in the number of COVID cases in the country. We first saw the health emergency slowing down in January, when COVID was excluded from the top 10 causes of death in the Philippines at the end of 2022. Here's then Department of Health OIC Maria Rosario Vergere at the start of the year.
Ito ay isang magandang balita para sa atin kasi nung mga nakaraang taon, especially in 2021, talagang nakita natin na ang COVID-19 deaths ay naging number 3 cause of death dito sa ating bansa. Ibig sabihin, kapag napupunta dun sa top 10 leading causes of death, marami ang namamatay dahil sa sakit na yan.
But by April, the positivity rate for cases had gone back up in all provinces except Pampanga. Metro Manila's 7-day positivity rate rose from 4.4% to 6.5% during this time. That's past the World Health Organization's threshold of 5% for opening economies. Because of this, the city of Manila considered bringing back mask mandates that same month. By June, the number of new positive cases began to drop by the week. Then, COVID-19 safety protocols such as wearing masks and social distancing were lifted across the country with President Marcos's July declaration. But reminders to take care of our health remain. Cases of flu-like illnesses went up by 45% this year from January to October, and President Marcos was infected with COVID-19 for the third time in early December. In August, a road rage incident involving cyclist Alan Bandiola and former cop Wilfredo Gonzalez went viral on social media. Security footage along Welcome Rotonda in Quezon City showed a minor collision between Bandiola and Gonzalez, which led to Gonzalez pulling out his gun on Bandiola. At a Senate hearing in September, a few weeks after the incident, Gonzalez justified his actions.
Humingi po ako ng kapatawaran sa inyong lahat na hindi po ako nakapagpigil na mabatukan siya. Kasi nga ang haba ho nung habulan namin eh. At masakit po kasi sa loob ko yung suntukin yung kotse ko at dirty finger ako sa mukha. Yung bangga po niya sa bumper, initial na bangga niya, pwede ko pa hong patawarin eh, Your Honor.
But this isn't the first time that Gonzalez clashed with the law. He's a dismissed cop who, from 1990 to 2015, faced legal cases for frustrated homicide and grave threat, among other things. The Bandiola family wanted to stay silent on the incident, but Alan's son Earl, a National University civil engineering student, faced Gonzalez on behalf of his father at the September Senate hearing.
For my father, I know he's mad at me. Hindi ko alam ang magiging desisyon mo. But as your son, nire-respeto kita sa desisyon na gagawin mo. Actually, he doesn't want me to be here because he fears that baka anong mangyari sa akin or to my brothers and sisters or even our family. But I want to man up. I want to show courage. I'm still grateful that you showed us that you care for us. And I'm grateful that you are my father. Either you want to forgive him or not, I want to make sure you understand that whenever an opportunity arises or a significant societal shift occurs, it's crucial to take advantage of it. This action will help safeguard the well-being of future generations.
Earl's call for justice is contrary to the preferential treatment that the QCPD gave Gonzalez over the incident. Let's count the ways. Una, first responders from the Galas police station treated the confrontation between Bandiola and Gonzalez as a traffic incident, nothing more. Lawyer Raymond Fortun later responded by filing a case against the 3 Galas officers for failing to protect Alan. Pangalawa, Gonzales was given a chance to air his side at a press conference organized by the QCPD. So far, Gonzales has faced the lightest of possible penalties for the incident when his driver's license was revoked by the LTO for 4 traffic code violations. He'll be able to apply for a new license in 2 years. A wave of COVID-like symptoms hit Filipinos from September to October this year. Pero teka teka, hindi ba katatapos lang ng COVID-19 public health emergency sa Pilipinas? But actually, there was something else in the air. Smog.
Air quality has been our problem since like decade or so, but people don't feel that it's important unless they see it. So there are times that smog is not visible, and then when people start to see this kind of smog, they feel like the air is not doing good, but actually it's not in a good situations for the past many years.
That was Rhea Pescador Malyari, Sustainable Cities campaigner for Greenpeace Philippines, in an interview with his podcast. Air pollution isn't a new problem. In 2018, the Philippines ranked 3rd in the world for air pollution-related deaths. Only this time, it was visible because of thermal inversion. Normally, warm air rises and cool air sinks. In thermal inversion, cool air traps warm air below. Because of that, air pollutants, mostly from cars, were trapped beneath the higher layer of cool air. And this also tells us why the smog's effects were more evident in Metro Manila. A higher volume of traffic means a higher concentration of pollutants in the air. Now think of how packed the streets have been this holiday season, with reports of Carmageddon and long waiting times on ride-hailing apps. Think of the higher volume of private cars on the road and the pains of fighting for a just transition for the public transport sector. We're still a long way off from solving not only the congestion in Manila, but more so the air pollution it causes. Also in October, journalist Patricia Evangelista released her book, Some People Need Killing, a memoir that focuses on her coverage of the Duterte administration's war on drugs. The storytelling ranges from singular incidents of killings under former President Duterte to broader themes like the power of language in shaping the narrative of the drug war. Listen to this excerpt from Robbie Alampay's interview with Patricia on this podcast.
You talk about laban and then how it is the root word of nanlaban. It was there all along. And yet that kind of insight, they don't realize na, yung laban ni Noy is the root word for the nanlaban ni Duterte.
Yung nanlaban to laban, it came out on paper. Kailangan ko i-explain ano ibig sabihin ng nanlaban. Ano na siya it's a noun. It is a person na lumaban kaya pinatay. Pero because I'm explaining it in English, you have to go into the weeds and figure out what it implies. Nagsindihan ko ng Yossi. Tapos sabi ko saan nanggaling. And then, I think mentally I separated ng laban from yung laban sa kalye, yung nakataas yung letter L mo. Yung sinisigaw ng EDSA Revolution, yung sinigaw ng maraming taon matapos nun. And then nung nag-connect sa utak ko, get ko na siya. That the language of hope is the language of death. In the language of the drug war, resistance automatically means death. It is the noun for a dead man who fought.
The other thing that is parang napatigil ako is when I realized that Marcos and then Marcos, they will account for more than 3 decades by the time Bongbong Marcos' term is over. The 2 Aquinos will account for 12. Duterte only accounted for 6.
Yes.
And yet, di ba?
Mm-hmm.
We know that his effect and is having injured our culture and society, and the impact of that will continue into the foreseeable future.
Mm-hmm. Well, he is larger than life. And that's how he framed himself anyway. So it's not surprising that's the impact. I'm not sure how much time we have left, pero I was thinking as an answer to that, I could read to you a paragraph and then it'll establish at the very least where we stand in this whole Marcos, Duterte, Aquino, the eternal refrain of the last 30 or so years. Forget that their name is Marcos. Forget that their name is Duterte. Forget that their name is Aquino. Duterte the first begat Duterte the second. Aquino the second begat Aquino the third. Marcos the first begat Marcos the second, begat Marcos the third, president begetting presidents, begetting vice presidents, rotating and revolving and rotating again. Their names live in airports and amphitheaters, on paper bills and street signs, along the highways where the corpses are still being found. Forget the names of their sons and daughters and remember their dead instead. So if nothing else, I would like other names to be remembered.
Read the book. Ang ganda ng pagkakasulat ng kwento ng Pilipinas, with particular attention to the time of Duterte.
Though it took too long, I never lost faith that my inevitable freedom will come. Alam niyong lahat kung gaano tayo katagal naghintay ng nagtiis, na may pananalig na ang katotohanan at totoong hustisya ay magtatagumpay. As I appear before you today, 6 years, 8 months, 21 days, after I peaceably surrendered myself to the authorities, it is one of my greatest achievements in my career and in my life to say that not only did I survive all these years of persecution and unjust detention, I came out stronger than ever, with an even stronger commitment to truth, justice, human rights, democracy, and the rule of law.
That was former Senator Laila de Lima speaking to reporters on November 17, the day she was finally released on bail. Nearly 7 years have passed since she was imprisoned by former President Rodrigo Duterte on trumped-up drug charges. Earlier this year, we sat down with attorney Rolly Francis Pioro, a member of the former senator's legal team, to talk about the acquittals that led to her release. De Lima previously faced 3 separate charges under Republic Act 9165 or the Comprehensive Dangerous Drugs Act.
Sa tatlo, unang na-dismiss ang criminal case 166. Hindi na tayo nagpresenta ng ebidensya. Ang ginawa lang natin doon ay nag-file tayo ng demurrer or parang request for dismissal dahil sabi natin, walang ebidensya talaga na naglilink kay former Senator Laila de Lima. We also filed the same demurrer dito sa case na to 165. Pero ang sabi ng judge, hindi may ebidensya na nagsasabing nakatanggap si ma'am ng 10 million at ang testigo na yun ay si Rafael Ragos. And remember, noong April 2022, last year, nag-recant si Rafael Ragos when the term of President Duterte was already coming to its end. Ang naging desisyon kanina, sinabi ng judge, no, yung actual act na ginawa in the theory of the prosecution ni Senator Laila de Lima ay tumanggap ng pera. At ang naglilink sa kanya nun ay si Rafael Ragos. But with the recantation, no, there's now a question on the credibility. Actually, yung testimony ay binawi. So, nagkaroon ng reasonable doubt doon sa testimony ni Ragos. Yun ang naging dahilan ng acquittal.
At the time of the interview in May, De Lima had only one more drug charge against her.
Ang status niya, kakatapos pa lang ng bail hearing. The decision should have been out last Monday, pero may mga technicalities na nangyari, may mga dokumento pa daw na kailangang ayusin at linawin ng prosecution. So, hindi natuloy nung Monday. Kung nagkataon na nag-grant nung Monday at yung nangyari kanina, nakalabas na siguro si Senator Laila de Lima.
De Lima was granted bail for the final charge, criminal case 167, in early November. The decision of Muntinlupa RTC Branch 206 reads, quote, "The court is of the firm view and holds that accused De Lima, Bukayu, Dayan, Sanchez, and Dera should be allowed to post bail as the prosecution was not able to discharge its burden of establishing that the guilt of the said accused is strong." End quote. Her co-accused, who were also granted the chance to post bail, were former Bureau of Corrections Director Franklin Bukayu, her former aides Ronnie Dayan and Jonel Sanchez, and alleged bagman Jose Adrian Dera. De Lima's release made headlines around the world and in fact was welcomed by United Nations experts. As for De Lima herself, she went home with 5 of the stray cats she took care of during her imprisonment, and she wants to continue being part of the fight for justice in the aftermath of President Duterte's deadly drug war. There's reason to have hope for the future of the investigation by the International Criminal Court, or the ICC, into Duterte's war on drugs as we head into 2024. The House Committees on Justice and on Human Rights unanimously voted to adopt 3 House resolutions urging government cooperation with ICC investigators. And in late November, Arturo Las Cañas sat down for an interview with Verifile's columnist Antonio Montalvan. You might remember Las Cañas from his testimonies at the start of former President Duterte's term. Las Cañas was the whistleblower who revealed the existence of Duterte's Davao Death Squad, a vigilante group from Duterte's time as Davao mayor. Las Cañas would go into hiding sometime after testifying against Duterte at the Senate in 2017. But in his interview with Verifiles, he made an even more incriminating revelation about the former president.
So, to inform all humanity, not only in the southern Philippines, in Mindanao, or in the part of Davao City, Duterte is the Lord of all the drug lords in the southern Philippines. He is the most dangerous person in the southern hemisphere. You must know it.
Las Cañas went into detail about how the drug trade in Davao allegedly thrived under Duterte, with alleged undercover Shabu laboratories and an alleged network of businessmen that the former police officer said Duterte would continue to favor well into his presidency.
And this canned fish factory in Toril, was it the only Shabu laboratory in all Davao City?
No, there is another Cebu laboratory. It was in Barangay Obrero.
Barangay Obrero.
Yes, that's what I know. Barangay Obrero and Dumoy Toril.
Can you expound a little bit? Who is Sammy Oy? I know he is a known businessman in Davao City.
Sammy Oy is one of the responsible persons why Michael Young entered Davao City with his Shabu chemist. He established the DCLA as a front.
What business is this, sir?
DCLA.
And this is owned by
Michael Young.
Michael Young. Okay.
Part of the building was owned by my Sammy Oy.
Sir, in your affidavit, you called Sammy Oy the gambling and Shabu mafia of Davao City.
That's correct.
Why did you call him that?
Siya ang pinaka-financer sa mga lasto.
Official Comlec records show that Sammy Uy donated 30 million pesos to Duterte's presidential campaign in 2016. Michael Yang, on the other hand, became Duterte's economic advisor in 2018.
And you stand by this knowledge, sir. This is not just rumor or chismis.
I stand it. Personally, I will. I'm very much prepared to piece them piece to piece. Because I'm a Filipino, I have to defend my country. Not this kind of criminals, especially Duterte. I will fight them until the last of my breath. Why not piece me piece to piece in the ICC?
Mm.
He's a lawyer.
Yes.
I am not a lawyer. I'm just an investigator. But I can confront him. I can prove my case. That's it. I will challenge Rudy, my friend. I'm sorry, but I have to defend our country, not you.
We're closing off the year with a more hopeful story. In early December, we featured Iloilo after it was declared a UNESCO City of Gastronomy. The title recognizes not only the richness of the cuisine and its history, but the various disciplines that go into fostering a lively and creative food scene. Here's Iloilo Mayor Jerry Treñas in a video posted on the city government's Facebook page after the recognition.
Iloilo is the first Philippine city to be designated as Creative City of Gastronomy by the UNESCO Creative Cities Network. We are very proud of this achievement. This is not only the work of the city government alone, but a community effort together with the Iloilo City Gastronomy Council, consisting of the public and private sector, the academe, national and national government agencies. Our UCCN journey was a product of a series of sectoral and multi-stakeholder consultations, workshops, and webinars during the last 2 years. Focus was given on critical aspects of agriculture, food and beverage sectors such as ingredient production, health, nutrition, distribution.
We know Iloilo for its chicken inasal, KBL or Kajos, Baboy at Langka, and La Paz Bachoy. The roots of this cuisine run deep and wide, as food scholar Ige Ramos explained to us.
Well, Ilonggo cuisine, kasi kung titingnan mo talaga yung yung contemporary Ilonggo cuisine, it's a mixture of different cultures, no? So you start with the ancient Visayan tradition of fishing and foraging, and then you have the use of different souring agents, notably batuan, and then how that thing developed over time when the colonizers came, no? The Spanish, and they really left a mark, no? Because they established all these churches in Iloilo, so they developed yung convent cuisine. So you have all these like fiesta traditions, and then at the same time, you have a very, very strong Chinese presence.
And the factors that shape Iloilo's food scene are not just historical. In Iloilo City, you'll find that food is accessible through its markets and various fishing spots. The ecosystem is healthy, and heirloom recipes remain alive. The recognition is a reason to celebrate, not just for Iloilo itself, but for the whole country. After all, Iloilo is the first Philippine city to earn the title of City of Gastronomy. But it's also a commitment to support the UNESCO Creative Cities Network's goals of strengthening resilience against climate change, inequality, and urbanization. Of course, Iloilo will be starting this journey right at home. Again, here's Mayor Jerry.
It is hoped that a greater understanding of nutrition and food quality and handling will ripple to education, development, investments, and access to opportunities for both the private sector and civil society. As all eyes are now in Iloilo, we will expand our gastronomic programs and services to further strengthen our stature.
This has been part 2 of Teka Teka News' 2-part 2023 year-end special. In case you missed part 1, you can find it on the same podcast channel. We talked about the air traffic chaos that rocked Naiya on New Year's Day, the Makati-Taguig border dispute, and more. I'm Nina Toralba, Puma Podcast. This was written by myself and edited by Freddy Blanco. Our Teka Teka News executive producer is Jill Caro, and our senior editor is Veronica Uy. If you found this episode helpful or interesting, follow Teka Teka News and Puma Podcast wherever you get your podcasts. You'll get the full reports on all the stories we included in this recap. Thanks for listening, and Happy New Year!